I'd like to welcome everybody to the Monday, November 13th meeting of the Sykesville Mayor and Town Council. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of silence. Okay. Okay, public concerns. Are there any public concerns, additions to the agenda? Minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from October 23rd?
Motion to approve the October 23rd minutes as revised.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, minutes from October 23rd are approved. Treasurer's report. Evelyn.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Does anyone have any questions about the September treasurer's report? Al?
It was a long time ago, I was just telling you. No.
Anybody else?
No, I already submitted my questions and got answers as usual. I'm good.
I really don't have much to say about it, other than it was a fairly good revenue month. We got in our county payment for the year, and we got in a substantial real estate tax payment. So it was a good month for revenues for us.
Thank you.
Well,
That's good.
Motion to approve the September treasurer's report.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Treasurer report's approved.
Thanks, Ellen.
Yep, thank you very much. Public safety report.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We're going to talk about the public safety report covering October 19th through November 8th. During that time frame, we had 84 calls for service, 15 community policing events, 6 court appearances, 6 follow-up investigations, 33 foot patrols, 5 grant enforcement details, 4 house checks, and 343 patrol checks, for a total of 496 incidents. Any questions on any of the incident reports that we listed on page 2 and 3 that haven't already been answered?
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Of course.
So Chief, the one with the, I guess, the broken window over at Warfield, was that an arrest?
No, that was just a report of a broken window, no
Okay.
suspects. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
If there are no further questions, I'd just like to add a few things. You may have seen on our Facebook page, myself and Officer Schler presented to 4 classes at Sykesville Middle School for their health education classes on this whole opioid crisis. And went very well. Mike was a big help to me being there to back me up, and the students were very receptive, and teacher and staff was very appreciative of us being there. So it's good to be able to do. You may have also seen that Officer Kirkner was recently recognized by the Business Advocates for Veterans, American Legion Post 31. He was one of the finalists for Police Officer of the Year. He's not a veteran, but didn't have to be a veteran to be nominated for that award. So it was nice to take Jason there and have lunch and have Jason's efforts recognized once again, because he continues to excel. Training, a couple good training classes coming up. Just wanted to mention to you, this week actually Sergeant Kilgore and Officer Kirkner are attending crisis intervention team training. It's hosted by the Westminster Police Department. The goal is to have a large group of officers throughout the county that are part of this crisis intervention team that can respond anytime there's a need, whether it's any type of mental health issue, and also they're there to support law enforcement officers that also may have been involved in traumatic situations. So it's good to have this cadre of trained law enforcement officers that are available and respond anywhere throughout the county to assist those in need and to help when there's a situation involving somebody that's obviously suffering from a mental health condition. So I'm glad that they were able to attend, and it was nice of Westminster Police Department to host this training. And also, and finally, Sergeant Kilgore in December will be attending, I think it's 2 weeks, to be certified as a firearms instructor. This is something that I think is good for his professional development. Certainly good on his resume, and something for him to contribute his expertise to, and a huge asset to the department to have one of our own that's not going anywhere anytime soon, that can provide us this training. And you know, the commitment from the department is 2 weeks of training, which is, you know, a substantial commitment. But I feel pretty confident that Sergeant Kilgore is the right person for that opportunity, and so he's excited about it. We'll make do without him for 2 weeks, but in the end, we'll have our own firearms instructor that can just take us across the street to the training center and provide all of our semi-annual firearms training. So glad that he was up to the challenge, and we'll report back when he's done the training. So that's all I have to report.
That's awesome.
So I have a question more for David, and I think maybe Derek about, Derek. First, thank you for the crosswalk, striking the crosswalk at O'Breck and Scout Hill. Is there any plans to do the rest of the intersections going down O'Breck? If not, could you guys take a look at that? And I mean, going down to Jennifer, Norris, I think Wimmer, and Harlan.
Yeah, we'll take a look. We don't have current plans, but we'll certainly take a look, get back to
Okay,
council.
thank you.
Chief, any bites on the crossing guard?
None, surprisingly.
Okay.
We're gonna keep pushing it and keep it out there. And
Since we're being recorded tonight, do you want to make another plea, a public plea?
I would love to. If the town is interested in any mature adults that are willing to donate just a half an hour of their time twice a day. It doesn't have to be consecutively, both in one day. A half an hour of time in the mornings and the evenings to assist our students, our residents that are students, crossing the road at one location here in town to Sykesville Middle School. So we very much appreciate any volunteers, and as I said on our announcement, we'll provide the training and the equipment, and they just have to provide their time. So looking for anybody who's willing to help us out. And that will free us up from having to have an officer there at each day, twice a day at that location to do that duty. So it'd be a big help to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Chief, I think, so the crisis intervention guys, are they part of the opioid training too? So is that part of where that comes in for?
There's some crossover there, but it's mostly geared just towards, people with mental health issues, how to respond, how to react, how to go about communicating and getting them into the proper services and treatment. And it's all part of this overall goal of de-escalating situations and cutting back on use of force and unnecessary injuries to people that are suffering from mental disorders.
Okay. All right, great. Well, thanks a lot for all the good work everybody's doing, all the officers and stuff. I appreciate that. And I went to the Lions Club and got this cool banner at their 70th anniversary of the Lions Club. So I'm trying to make sure that we get a better connection with Sykesville back to the Lions Club, and I thank them for their generous donation for the CSI Junior CSI Academy. So it was a fun night. So had a good time. So thanks a lot for all that. Any other questions for the chief? All right. Council committee reports were provided, so except for, I did have a WDC meeting, but I didn't have time to do the report, so I will get that and update it for you.
We'll have something to read after Thanksgiving.
Huh?
We'll have something to read for our next.
There you
meeting
go,
after
right,
Thanksgiving.
exactly. On announcements, speaking of Thanksgiving, town offices are closed on Thursday and Friday, November 23rd and 24th for Thanksgiving. Recycling pickup has been changed from Thursday, November 23rd to Monday, November 27th as a result, and recycling will not be picked up on Thursday, November 30th. So please make a note. The next mayor and town council meeting will be on Tuesday, November 28th, due to the Thanksgiving holiday as well. Okay, our open session items is, first item is the approval of the meeting schedule and town holiday schedule for 2018. So these are for the mayor and town council schedules.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda for tonight.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, thank you. And then, our first item of business is, Rigger, Lehman and Hauk. Did I get it right? Are here to do the presentation for the annual audit. So, thank you.
Good to be with you again. And I also want to introduce Ashley Hershey. She's been on your audit for many years, and she's the senior auditor on the job, so.
Great, well, thank you. And that's Wanda.
Yes.
So, Wanda Lynn, so thank you. Just so everybody knew.
And so tonight we're just going to do a very high-level overview of your audit. You were previously given your audit a copy of the full copy of it, so I'm just hitting the highlights tonight. If you have any questions, please ask, and if anything comes up afterwards, you can always read this. So there are some required communications that we need to have with you, and it starts at the very beginning of the audit, before the audit even starts. The audit responsibilities is detailed in our engagement letter that, details your responsibilities, your fiduciary responsibilities, as well as our responsibilities. Significant accounting policies can be found in your financial statements in Note 1. And in there, you'll note that there were 6 new governmental accounting standards that took place, but luckily for the town, none of them impacted you. So that was a good thing. There were some audit adjustments and some uncorrected misstatements, and they were all provided with the management representation letter package. So if you have any questions on that, everyone has a copy of that. We did not encounter any significant issues or difficulties, and communications of deficiencies and other recommendations were provided in a separate letter. As far as the financial statements go, there are accounting estimates included in your financial statements, and the ones that we feel are most significant to your financial statements are the collectability of taxes and other receivables, and generally speaking, you have very good collections, so an allowance is not included in your financial statements. The depreciation on the capital assets and service, and then your accrued compensated absences between what's going to be paid within the next 12 months versus what's long-term. Your net pension liability from being in the state retirement system, and then also the timing of collectability for the note receivable from Warfield Development Corporation. Some of the more extensive disclosures in your financial statements, the net position of fund balances, which we will go over all of that in here in this presentation. And then also, you have a lot of transactions back and forth with Warfield Development Corporation, so that's all disclosed in your financial statements as well. You have the cost-sharing stormwater mitigation project with Carroll County that runs about $36,000 annually, and that is, the town is committed through 2020 through that program. As far as commitments and contingencies, the most significant one that you have is the potential sale for Warfield Development Corporation. Warfield Complex, I guess I should say, but we've talked about that for many years now. And then the related environmental concerns and pollution remediation obligations, since a study has not been performed in many years to assess that with asbestos. And then again, you guys, your pronouncements, they still continue to be active with coming out with new rules. So just the objective of the audit is, the audit is performed in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. Our goal is to obtain reasonable but not absolute assurance that financial statements are free of material misstatement. We do that through a test basis examination of evidence supporting amounts in your disclosures. We also evaluate the overall financial statement presentation. You have the same opinion as you had last year, which is a very unusual opinion, so I will just speak to that. So you have an unmodified, which is the best opinion that you can receive on the fund financial statements. So that's basically the statements that Evelyn gives you each month on the near-term financial statements. However, governmental financial statements also have full accrual financial statements, and that looks more at a long-term perspective, and for that perspective, you get a qualified opinion. And again, that goes back to not having a liability on your books related to the potential pollution remediation related to the Warfield complex. And then you also get an adverse opinion for excluding the Warfield Development Corporation from your financial statements because their records are not audited and they're a component unit of the town. All that being said, whenever you sell, all these things will go away. So. But let's remember the first thing, unmodified on your fund financial statements, which is, your day-to-day operations, basically. Some of the highlights. You had an increase this year in your cash and investment position of a little over $273,000. And you increased your fund balance of $264,716, while you had budgeted a decrease of $172,000. And that budgeted decrease is because you were planning on using more reserves than you ended up doing. And then you did receive $106,800 from Warfield Development Corporation to reimburse the town for bills that the town had paid on their behalf. And then you did have some property movement this year, so you did purchase 714 Sandusky Road for $747,000, and with that came a loan that was held by the seller for $547,500, and that loan should be paid off by 2026. And then you sold 7610 Main Street, which generated cash proceeds of $104,830. And then on the full accrual basis, that ended up with a loss on disposal of $95,200. So again, just highlights here for your balance sheets. You can see the increase in the cash and investments that I already mentioned. The other assets decrease there is primarily the collection of the money from the Warfield Development Corporation. This is as of a point in time, as of June 30th, the liabilities you can see decreased, and that was less money was owed at that particular time for general accounts payable. And then the various fund balance categories, we're going to go into greater detail in a couple more slides. As far as the operating results, your taxes in total were fairly comparable to last year, did go down slightly. Your grants and revenues, again, very comparable to last year. I didn't bring all the detail related to that. If you look at your management discussion analysis that's in the front of your financial statements, Evelyn does a great job of detailing all of the various projects that you had throughout the year. You'll note that there was a large increase in your other revenues and financing sources line. That was primarily the two properties that I just mentioned. That was the cash proceeds and then also the loan for the new purchase. And then your operating governmental expenses, fairly comparable to the prior year. Your debt service payments went down this year, and that was primarily because last year you paid off a loan for the Main Street, and then you also had paid off your 2005 bonds. Your capital outlays were higher this year, and again, a big purchase was your Sandusky Road, and then also you had the stormwater management project, and you also purchased a police car. All in all, your change in fund balance for 2017 was an increase, $264,716. And then you have a stabilization reserve that you established this policy several years ago. It is part of the unassigned fund balance, and it just tells you how it's calculated, but the bottom line is, as of June 30th, the required stabilization reserve was $289,580. The town well exceeds having that much money available. And this next picture shows you that your unassigned balance was over $2.1 million, of which that includes the $289,000 of the stabilization reserve. So you have a very strong fund balance. The non-spendable portion, the $237,758, is made up of three components. It's money, the largest part, $178,344 is additional money that's due from Warfield Development Corporation. And then you also had some prepaid expenses, $29,000, and then a note receivable related to the restaurant of $30,000. And then you have restricted funds. That was a donation that we received several years ago related to the Gatehouse Museum. So you're holding $229,303 related to that. Your assigned fund balance, you can see, is made up of many different things that you have set aside to spend some money on. The largest portions, you have $260,200 for capital reserves. Impact fees, you've collected $111,674, and then you have $68,000 set aside for Warfield Complex, and you can see all of the other various areas as well. And then that other of 12 different individual items are listed separately on the next two pages. I'm not going to go into all of those. They're all $10,000 and less. So then the next one, yes, is the cash breakdown that you have the treasurer prepare annually. So this is an unaudited statement, but it's telling you the breakdown of cash between the various categories. Again, over $2 million in unassigned. The next sheet is looking at the town in a larger perspective, the government-wide, which is funding full accrual. And I just wanted to point out, most things are very comparable. Your non-current assets and deferred outflows did increase some from the prior year. The biggest jump on that was $85,000, and that relates to the deferred portion of your pensions. But then down in the non-current liabilities and deferred inflows, you see that large increase. $398,000 of that increase related to the net change in your debt as far as the note payable that you took on related to the property. And then your net pension liability increased $134,000. So when you net the increased liability, the increased asset, you end up with a net change of $49,000 related to your pension. And that is all related to, actuarial studies performed on the state pension system. And the final slide is just showing you the additional governmental standards that are coming out. 85 is just really more of a revision type thing, but 87 will be leases. You still have some time on that. At this point, you don't have significant leases, so I don't suspect a significant impact, but they will be presented differently than they are handled right now. So that is a quick overview of your statements. So are there any questions?
Any questions?
I don't have any.
Evelyn, thank you for doing such a great job.
Thank you.
On the first block, getting us the best we could get.
There you go.
On the unmodified version. So thank you. And then if we close out Warfield, I mean, I guess my question is, when will we have to do an audit? Because we're going to do an audit of that, but that would still carry over. Since they're on a yearly, we would still end up with what, 2 more years of this? Probably.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, thank you very much. So,
All right.
Do we need to accept?
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
yeah, I don't know if we need to,
Do we need a motion, Dennis, to accept the audit?
well, I don't, is this?
No, I
the-
don't think we ever made a motion for the audit.
Good job, Mr. Mayor, keeping us on track.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right, our next item was the paranormal research in the townhouse. So, specific date has not been determined since the mayor and town council need approval for this. And the group conducting the experience will need time to organize. The group is not charging a fee to conduct this experience. So the group would like to have access to the building from approximately 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. And they will need 2 hours to set up and 1 hour for cleanup. They will be placing equipment in several locations throughout the townhouse, basement, first floor and attic. The second floor and offices will be excluded, off limits to all parties in attendance aside from the stairwell. So either Julie Della Maria or Anna Carter will be present during the entire experience. And the experience will be open to 15 people with the mayor and town council and staff be given first preference. So I guess you wanna talk this anymore, or I don't know what all this stuff is, or?
There's a lot of activity, unexplainable activity here in the townhouse, and it would be very enlightening to see if the experts can determine what's going on here.
Who are the experts?
They are a paranormal,
The Maryland Paranormal League, the Maryland group that's overseeing all this type of activity all over the state. That mushroom.
Have they done any other like government buildings, like townhouses like this before, or would this be the first one?
I'm not sure. I know they have been doing it for a few years and there are 12 locations that they have investigated, but I did not look what type of location they were.
we did do this several years ago, and I was present at that time, with a different group that came to the townhouse and basically is gonna do the same thing.
Did they find anything back then?
Some of their equipment showed activity, but not significant activity. But in the meantime, in the several ghost tours that I've attended, it's been a wow experience. If I knew those things when I was here at night collecting and closing up, I wouldn't be doing that.
I will waive my right to spend the night here in the town.
Second. I'm waiving mine too. Go ahead and sell my ticket. The only concern I think we had was the ghost things that we had, I don't think they were ever approved. The ones
Right.
we did weren't ever approved by the mayor and town council. And it did cause some confusion. So I don't know, Carrie, if you want to talk about some of the stuff, because it is kind of a burden on staff for some of these things. So I didn't know if you wanted to say a few words about how it affects you guys. I mean,
Sure. So Jana and I spoke about this briefly because we're the ones that do most of the cleanup before the events happen. People like to touch things, and it's an old house with a bunch of old stuff in it, so a lot of the stuff in the kitchen we would put away first so people wouldn't get their hands in chocolate or coffee or anything like that. Also, there's a bunch of files upstairs in the attic. Jana and I have been working on file retention recently. We're not entirely sure what all is up there, just that it's everything. I'm not entirely sure that would be something we would want people going through and looking at, especially if we don't know what even is up there. So I'd be concerned about that, just some way to more secure the documents and also the safety issues of the attic not being safe, as well as the downstairs steps going to the basement. I don't like walking down those things. They are not very safe at all.
Is there any concerns about the only level in this building that's ADA compliant is this first floor? You know, normally we don't, if there's meetings, we don't allow people upstairs to the second floor, especially the attic. And if we're opening this up to the general public, I don't know if we really can allow people to go upstairs. And I'm actually looking at Dennis if there's any issues or things we need to be concerned about.
You're supposed to provide comparable access.
Experience.
So to the extent that you can't get upstairs, yeah, you probably have to. Are they filming it at the same time? What are they doing?
I don't know if they're gonna be filming it for their own experiences, but I wasn't aware if they were filming it. Do you know?
I was still recording, you know, them filming and everything, and
Like recording with their gadgets and so forth.
But the question is, if somebody is handicapped and wants to participate but can't go up the steps, what level of participation can be offered to them on the first floor that would allow them to get the sense of having been there at the same time? But are the materials that are being, I mean, the equipment that's being carried, is it susceptible of being replayed and?
I
No,
think
you know, they might-
eventually afterwards, but not during the same time.
Look, I mean, that I don't think, all you can do is do the best that you can. So it's kind of, you know, it would be a presentation in essence to anybody that's handicapped. It would say, here's our equipment, this is the data, this is what the data means, this is what was going on at the time. If there's an opportunity even to record with a phone or something at the same time and show that, that's probably sufficient.
And I think that's doable.
I just question really what's the big benefit of it for us. I don't know why we would want to get involved in it. I mean, I don't know if it's just worth that, if the juice is worth the squeeze, I guess is what the point is. And so what's the benefit of it to have Dennis do all the stuff and then, I don't know. I'd rather not know if there's a ghost in there, you know. Let it just be Millard Cooper and me in the office late at night, breathing down my neck. I'd be like, huh, it's a cool chill there. I don't know, but I mean, but that's just me. So I don't know if everybody else is interested in pursuing this or if it's that big a deal. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the benefit is.
I don't think it's worth the disruption to the townhouse. I mean, I'm not necessarily in favor of paranormal research to begin with, or believe in it, I should say. So.
One of the concerns that we talked about at staff was the potential for some kind of liability, particularly with folks wanting to access the attic and the basement. You know, if we're all on this level, it wouldn't rise to the level of a concern. We haven't talked to the Local Government Insurance Trust about concerns that they might raise, but you know, Carrie's right. The attic is not necessarily the kind of place where you routinely be bringing the public for events. You know, we're trying to get on top of a record storage issue up there, and you know, we're not really entirely convinced that that's the safest part of the structure at the present time. So, you know, there probably ought to be some outreach to the Local Government Insurance Trust if this activity is going to occur.
When did the ghost tours start doing the whole townhouse? Because when I went on the ghost tour years ago, we just met in this room and were given a little bit of background, and then we went out. So it never involved the townhouse.
I think that we had done it with Ivy.
Well, this isn't part of the ghost tour. This is just a separate.
I know,
Right.
but I'm talking about the ghost tours
Oh.
too, because that has been an issue for staff as well. So I was just relating the two, and I was just curious when they started doing the,
I think that Ivy's the one that had started that way back when.
because I went on it when Ivy was here and we never did that. I have no idea. But I think it is a disruption for staff, and I don't think this building is conducive to having the public go all over basement, attic. I mean, this level is fine, but I don't see it's a good thing to go up and down in those areas. I mean, the last time I was in the basement, which is some time ago, it's a wreck down there.
I think there's holes in the flooring in the attic too.
Yes, there is in the back room, and obviously, if it was agreed upon, that wouldn't be, safety is top concern.
Oh.
Could it be limited to this level and the second floor? Would that be possible, Hannah?
Initially, because some of the activity was up in the attic, a lot of the activity was up in the attic, or is up in the attic, they
Gotcha.
wanted to have access to that.
Gotcha.
And the second floor, they're proposing that the second floor be excluded because of the offices.
There's a lot of sensitive things on the
Sure.
second floor with offices, so that wasn't even part of a thought.
Well, so I don't know what the plan is. What the plan of action?
Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
What is the original plan? They're spending a substantial amount of time here, the entire night, just
9 to 1.
6 to.
Well, it's
6 to
2-hour
10.
setup, so they would have
6
to
p.m.
have access to the certain areas. And then public would come in, or however we would have people come in, it would be from 9 to 1. And they would sit in a room and watch the gauge and,
So this is not just, this is public invitation as well.
I don't know if we wanted it a public invitation or maybe private, like invite only.
The people that are doing the investigations, they anticipate having people come in and participate with them.
Yes,
10. And the limit of 10.
I'm sorry.
With a limit of 10.
Limited
for-
10.
You know, are they charging or anything?
There's
No.
15 here.
Well, probably 10 plus staff or what have you.
So the way we do almost all other events on town properties is we require, again, since we do this every time you ask me, is you would expect that they would fill out a form that waives liability, provides a one-time event level of insurance that would piggyback whatever insurances we have. We would still want to talk to our own carrier, but they would have, just like anybody who goes to the parks or whatever, they would come in with their certificate of insurance for 1 day. Then I think at that point it becomes a decision, having done everything you can do for liability issues, you can decide to go forward. You probably want to put police tape up over the areas where there's no access, and beyond that, is somebody from our group staying with them?
Yes.
That's about all you can do from a liability standpoint. Beyond that, it's just a question of whether you think it's practical, whether there's any purpose to participate.
Right, that's kind of my thought, is, does somebody want to make a motion to do this, or?
I guess I'll make a motion, we'll see how it falls out. Is that right?
Sounds good, let's get moving.
So I'll make a motion to allow the group to have access to the building from approximately 6 to 2 p.m. on a given night. They need 2 hours setup, 1 hour cleanup.
Second.
All those in favor?
It's 6 to 2 a.m., right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any opposed?
Nay.
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 Nay. 4,
2 to 4.
4 and 2,
Or 2 and 4.
or 2 and 4. 4 and 4 opposed. Okay, so motion fails. So no paranormal research in this go round. Anyway, all right, but thank you for trying, and it's creative, it's interesting ideas. I just don't, maybe the timing's just not right. All right, our next item is the presentation by the Downtown Sykesville Connection Board of the proposed events. And so welcome the board for the new Sykesville Downtown Connection.
have introductions?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
let's have
can
an
certainly do introductions if you'd like of the board members that are present this evening.
Well, we're on, we're
on
being televised.
TV. We want to make sure you get the proper publicity that you're due.
I'm Rachel Beck, I'm the promotion committee chair, and this is
Fred Gossage, President.
Mary Ellen Will, organization.
and Julie is our executive director.
Great, well, welcome.
So, good evening. I just wanted to begin by thanking you for your support of the old Main Street Association, allowing us to spread our wings and move on now to downtown Sykesville connection. We could not do that without obviously the town support, so thank you very much.
We certainly thank you. I want to interject in there, so thank you all for all the hard work you've done to get us to this point, because really, if it wasn't for all of you guys, the business owners, all the volunteers, and everybody, we would have never gotten to where we are. And certainly all the Julie and the other, Main Street managers, yeah, committee chairs, yeah, everybody. So thank you all for getting us here. It's so exciting. I'm excited about the next part. So go ahead.
So, I know that or I hope you received this. Do you want me to go through it? Or do you want to just?
Does anybody, I guess, yeah, is there any questions on any of the things that maybe we could do that so she doesn't have to go through the whole thing?
It's up to you.
Can you just go over what the thoughts are behind the farmer's market? I know there's some changes or potential changes that we can just review.
Sure. So the farmer's market, the first big change is we are going to start it a week later this year, so it doesn't coincide with Mother's Day. Right now, we're forming a advisory board that's made up of some vendors there, merchants in town, community members. Our farmer's market manager has agreed to come back to talk off season about the location as well as the time. So they are entertaining the idea of moving back to the old location. It might require, or it absolutely will require, more use of Baldwin's lot, so we have to work with them as well as Farm and Home. But that is something that they'd like to discuss with the whole committee. And then time, there's been some time changes that have been thrown out there, whether we maintain 9 to 1 or maybe shift it to 10 to 2 to allow the church to get their first service in here by 9 before the market starts, and then extended that extra hour for a lot of customers who wanted to see it extended because they were at church and other churches in the area. So unfortunately, that's where it sits right now. We are offering a spot on that council to a mayor and town council representative who would like to give their thoughts. It would probably be very helpful because it's our longest running event and can be, I know, tough on the town, the merchants, the community, and everything with this closures and all. So.
If you could just maybe reach out to St. Paul's and see if they would like to participate as well during some of the planning.
Yeah, we reached out to Dawn, and I haven't heard back from her, but she's kind of the merchant, she comes to the merchant meetings, so I will do that again.
So maybe it would be a good idea to run through the events, just so we can get them on TV tonight too. Just a name of them if you want to list them and then the dates. I mean, this is good publicity, so let's put them out there, right?
So we are proposing, in the works right now is a gala to be held on January 27th at Baldwin Station, starting at 7 p.m. It's a Roaring 20s themed gala with a casino night. It's a small fundraiser for us. Then the next event will take place Sunday, May 6th from 12 to 5, and that's our Art and Wine Festival, which is our first of 2 large fundraisers for the year. The third event of the year is a new one, and one that kind of came up as a compromise to the farmers market vendors who do a lot of business that opening Mother's Day weekend, to do a Saturday before Mother's Day flower mart. in that Baldwin's Drive, Oklahoma Avenue closure and bring in some of those vendors that sell Mother's Day flowers and things. And see if that works for everyone.
So Rachel, that date is incorrect then. If it's meant to be Saturday, it should be May 12th.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if it was supposed to be.
What's the strategy? Does it say that?
I know they have one.
You have to try to Westminster.
That's what I'm saying.
Come to
It's
Sykesville.
just a question whether.
Our old flower
Flopsy
thing used to
Day
be
would
pretty
make-
successful.
Make a difference in market and successful,
Well, we wanted to avoid Mother's Day.
The Sunday thing, yeah. It was,
So,
Yeah.
except if it's for Mother's Day.
Ours used to be successful. I remember back in the day when they were selling flowers on Mother's Day. It seemed to me like that was a pretty good
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, so it was actually, one of our merchants, Mary Baccarino, attends the one in Leesburg, which is huge, and thought it might be something neat to kind of lend a compromise to that opening day craziness. So then the farmer's market will run from the 22nd of May to October 28th.
It should actually be, sorry, May 20th would be the opening day, correct?
Sunday?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
And I do think the time frame. I do think the time frame shift's a good idea, the 10 to 2. I think it'll actually work better. As a frequent supporter of your market, of the market, I think it might work better. And the location, I think it's good to get it back on the main street. Despite this being a great spot for some reasons, I think the merchants do better when it's down back there maybe. I don't think people, maybe it'll be better for the businesses.
That's an argument we can have.
Over again. Okay.
So, the next 3 events are, a big one that we're asking for your support with. Block parties, the merchants would like to remove them from their First Friday list. The history of block parties kind of was merging the music we had, that Ivy started with the First Friday push by the merchants. And so they reached out to Main Street Association to fund music during the summer and have a community block party. They are asking that they be able to go back to their shopping nights exclusively on Friday nights. And the community now, because the block parties become their own monster, really enjoys them. So the compromise has been moving them to 3 Saturdays from 5 to 9 during the summer. And they would be a sponsored event. We would be looking for a sponsor, and the minor sponsors would obviously be Market Tavern, EWX, and Baldwin Station.
So the first Fridays would not involve a street closure, just the block parties?
Then the next event on Sunday, July 1st is our Coolest Smile on Main Street, which we've done in August, but it was very hot. So they are moving that, and there's been some community requests for 4th of July parade, some kind of 4th of July celebration, not just to us, but the merchants have heard it as well. And I think even the mayor might have chimed in on wanting to do something.
Right,
4th of
so
July.
yeah, so we're actually working on this. I mean, we're working and we're getting some traction on getting fireworks, and doing it before the 4th of July, because it's a lot cheaper. So maybe like, I'm not sure what the date is this year, but you have it down as the 1st, being July, Sunday would be July 1st. But I'm not sure, I've got to coordinate, but Ellen Dix has been helping us from National Night Out. We did talk to the Lions Club about maybe helping a little bit. I think it's doable in that number, whether it's getting some support from the town, getting some, we've talked to Home Depot, they've been really supportive. I'm trying to get some, stuff for fundraising. So I guess the question that, we'll definitely be working on that. So I don't know how we'll tie it all in with.
Yes, and we'd be willing to work with you to tie it in. I know the Coolest Mile is something quick and short
Yeah.
that could kind of start The parade, after talking to the community organizers for that, Tri-Sport, they would prefer that to start the parade and have the parade come down, but I'm hoping that there's still people around that when Century was doing their parade, to maybe, if a parade is possible, then some insight into how they staged that and where it went, because I remember it being kind of large scale.
Right.
But if we can work together, yes, definitely.
Yeah, no, I'm excited
Figure
about it. I
out
think it's gonna be,
something.
it could be awesome, especially the fireworks. We've already gotten approval from the county to use Freedom Park for fireworks. The one thing that we gotta figure out, like, so Ellen Dix, as you know, is very, plugged in from Freedom. So and we've talked to Springfield Hospital, and they've actually, been willing to, let the parade come down through there to kinda have it as Sykesville Freedom. Granted, I don't know, it's the, we would love to have it on Main Street, but I don't think they want. And then the logistics of that, crossing 32 to try to get back up to Freedom, but that's what some of the early discussions are. We'll have to talk about it and see, but I don't think they want us to have it strictly on Main Street because of the freedom aspect. They wanna have like a Sykesville Freedom parade part, but I don't know. Well, yeah, I know. We would much rather have it on Main Street. I'm trying to figure out how to keep everybody connected together though, without it just being a Sykesville event. I think that's her concern, so.
Maybe go through the tunnel.
Yeah, the tunnel. Believe me, if you could fit a fire engine through there, it'd be a done deal. I've already looked at that. And so we're trying to figure out how to get stuff through the parade. But we'll work about it. I appreciate getting some help on it and working on the, I don't know, crossing 32 has always been, I thought about maybe we could come through here and cross over and go up there, but I don't know. That's a big issue, trying to close down 32 for a parade. Yeah, but we'll work on it. The parade hasn't been the big focus right now for that group. Ellen would certainly like it. She's got people interested in it, but the fireworks has been our priority for trying to fundraise and stuff.
So, we do have, Annie Kennedy has volunteered from Cowboys and Angels to kind of lead our parade organization. So we do have key people that are ready to start planning that, so.
Well, I think we should talk to Ellen. I'd love to have you guys talk to her and see if you can bring her around. I think, good. Yeah, so thank you. So talk to her more. She may soften up and come around. She's been a hard worker for us and doing lots of stuff and working closely with, so I would say, talk to her and see if we can't work out something more great, because I think all the help we can get here.
Yeah, this is our first start at it, so.
Yeah, well, great, thank you. I'm excited about getting 4th of July in South Carroll. I think it'll be huge, and how we all work it out, this would be great. Westminster's getting overcrowded to the point where people stop going because of the crowds.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll let you keep going.
So, the next event, October 14th, is my date right, Julia?
Yes.
Harvest Festival at the Farmers Market. We tried this year and it rained, so we had to move it back into the parking lot. So the idea is to try it again, and to bring it out on Main Street and showcase primarily the farmers market, which is already running at that time on the Sunday, and some other vendors with children's activities. And hopefully, I heard your hot dogs were a hit, and I know thank you very much that the garbage truck was a huge hit, and the police and the fire department, my nephews were here and honked the horn several times. So that was awesome.
Yeah, we need to make sure we don't point the horn at a.
Yeah.
Point it the right direction.
Yes.
My alternative was 180 degrees, and you would have.
Who would hurt it?
Yeah.
Hey, baby, hero for the day, so we'll have 5-year-olds. Then trick or treat on Main Street, Thursday, October 25th, same as this year. Then the Sykesville Craft Beer Festival, in a compromise with the merchants, they asked if we'd move that off the first weekend of November to the second weekend, so that they have First Fridays, not 2 events back to back. So we said we'd give it a try. And then Saturday, December 8th is the Merry Main Street in the townhouse, which plans are the same as they've been. And then, I did not add the ghost tours, but they were successful this year. But it sounds like we have some work to do on maybe coordinating a little bit better, so that's something that we can definitely do.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think, Julia's point, I think it used to be like a tour of like a lot of the community houses of the ghost tour, and I thought that was, and it's sold out every year, and that way you get some of the older
It
homes.
still is.
Yeah.
They just meet here and then they take a tour throughout the community. We go to the Cassian's jail. and
Yeah,
then
right.
Some of the businesses on Main Street, like Annie's opened up a couple times, and then we go to the graveyard.
Right, so I thought that was a big hit every year. Yeah.
But the waiver, the issues I was raising, because people would be located in the townhouse and not moving around, you know, so that was, I wouldn't think would apply to
Right.
a guided tour where they stop in and it's basically with a docent or whatever, and, you know, that, whoever's conducting the tour then becomes responsible for the conduct of the people in this group, different from,
being located here.
One final thing we need to discuss that Julie brought to our attention is, when we filed for SHA permits, because we were all under the same house roof, it was kind of easy to do, but there is a town representative that needs to sign off on the permit, am I correct, Chief? So, would we be the town representative, or, you know, how, we're not really under the town's roof anymore, so we're a separate entity, so who would sign? And to make that easier, it's usually Julie passing it around to, organizing that and passing that around. I don't know if you want to have your staff doing that on our behalf, so I'm not sure how the council can.
Who usually signs, was it the town manager?
No, it's Julie,
Oh, okay.
and then me, and then it goes to the other agencies in the county, and then ultimately the state highway for final approval.
Okay.
So I would suggest maybe still be, wouldn't you be the town representative though, the chief?
I'm not sure. I'll have to call Gene. And
No?
we can work that out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
The town manager, I think, would be the best
Yeah.
It
option.
may be.
Well, I mean,
Let me get some direction.
my point was if you were signing them, I'm sure you wouldn't be signing without checking with the manager and saying, hey, is this okay? I just didn't want to have saved the extra time, because you're usually coordinating with them anyway about what's going on and that kind of stuff. But we can talk about the best way to handle it. Yeah, we'll work it out. We'll work out the details for that.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for all your work again on that.
Love the document. It's
That's
awesome.
very
I love, seriously, the little explanation of why you're having it, and how, what's going on with it is very helpful. So thank you so much for that.
Yes.
And I'd be happy to be the council representative on the farmer's market unless anybody's interested. Put me down.
Our market manager,
Great.
So I make
Right.
a motion to approve the proposed schedule of events from the Downtown Sykesville Connection for 2018.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Good job.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Leo, too, if I didn't recognize you, for all his work with the Main Street as well. So as part of all the volunteers and staff, Leo's done the yeoman's work of coordinating all this all these years. So thank you
Thanks.
for that. It has been a lot. And Derek, thank you for showing up at the Harvest Festival. That was nice to have you out there. I think it was nice for people to see, and the kids really enjoyed it. And I thought it was great. Everybody was jumping every time the horn blew. And,
Yes, I was.
yeah, it was awesome. So thank you.
A lot of smiles.
Yeah, a lot of smiles. Yeah, it was fun. Despite some people going, ah!
Sanitation directors.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Pretty cool to have you there.
cool.
So thank you. Okay, and our next item is the town decorating contest judging date. So we haven't, usually the mayor and town council does its annual holiday decoration judging, where we drive around and give out well-deserved signs to people who've decorated who've shown the Christmas spirit through their decorations, or holiday spirit. I don't want to, it's not just Christmas. We've had many other
Festive houses.
yes, festive houses recognizing the holiday season. So At any rate, has anybody looking at the calendar? Is there any dates? I think it's usually like the second week in December, somewhere in that deal.
I don't remember what night we usually try to do it.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Is it?
Yeah, I was gonna say Tuesday, Wednesday.
Let me get my digital calendar.
Hey, are you gonna drive it then, or you done driving?
There you go, man. Look at this.
Old fashioned van.
So maybe the 12th or the
It's nice
13th
yours.
probably is that week. I think we were usually doing it, so.
So we meet on Monday,
Which one?
the 11th.
Yep, the 12th or the 13th, maybe the 13th then, since we have a meeting on the 11th.
Well, remember, we have our meeting the 11th, and we have the MML dinner the 14th,
All right.
so that'll be a busy week.
What
That's
about
too much for council.
just the
Well, you
week?
wanna do it the following week, a little bit later? 19th, give you more time to get your decorations up.
That's
the
pretty,
week before Christmas.
That's right.
yeah.
It's getting late.
Is December 4th week too late?
No, that's
Too
good.
early.
Too early?
Yeah,
No, I
I
think we
think
should
it's
do it
great.
then.
Hmm?
Somebody's got their decorations out already,
Yes, they do.
so I think we should do it that
All
way.
right.
I don't know. That might be too early, because people put their decorations out Thanksgiving weekend, usually, a lot of them.
Then make it
Well,
the
that gives
12th.
them 2 weeks to put them out.
How about the 12th, with a commitment to have a light schedule on the 11th, Marion Town Council?
Is there any meetings on
If you commit to that, then the 12th is good.
12th is good.
All right, let's
That's a
do
lot
the
of
12th.
council time though, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It is, man, it's a busy week. All right, so, the decorating contest then is set. It'll be at 6 o'clock or 6:30? What time do we meet here, 6:30? 6:30. So we'll meet here at 6:30, and so all the residents, get your lights up for, make sure you're ready by December 12th. And the Marion Town Council will pay you a visit and honor you with a sign on your yard.
So you're gonna do the signs again.
I'll do the
Yeah.
signs.
Okay, great.
And you're gonna do the proclamations?
That's awesome, so we're set.
So that'd be good.
I don't think we need a motion for that, do we?
Nope.
No, we just need to make an announcement, get that on the
Yep. So,
Facebook
yeah,
page.
so if you can get that out as appropriate.
Monday after Thanksgiving.
Okay. The what?
No, it's
He's
not.
saying
I mean,
when to put
send-
it
send
out.
the- send the
I'm like,
email.
wait a minute. There's something, okay, so we're
That's all.
good. All right, so that's all the items for the open session this evening. So we will be having some items in closed session, there may be some votes. But
Maybe you vote out in closed session.
yes, so, right, we may be going back into open session to take action on a couple of items if anybody's interested. And did you want to read
Okay,
that?
closed session. The meeting is proposed to be closed pursuant to the general provisions of the annotated Code of Maryland, Section 3-305B. 1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. And 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice on a legal matter. First item is personnel, police staff update, confidential personal information. Second item is consult with legal counsel, 714 Sandusky Road disposition. Third item is consult with legal counsel, Warfield negotiations.
Motion for a 5-minute recess.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess and then we'll, thank you all for coming.